Hey y'all, what's really heavy on my mind today is the phenomenon of cycles. So you may have had that friend who time after time again, she comes to you complaining about the same situation. Like, it's so obvious when you're on the outside looking in, like, she going through the same situation she been going through. You know, she's still having the same fights with the same rascal. And she's still crying out in pain to you and to her other girlfriends about this thing that's obviously a cycle. And the difficult part about witnessing or observing another person going through a cycle is that you can't want them to come out of that cycle more than they want it. You can't want somebody else to heal more than they have chosen they want to heal. See, some people like to stay stuck. They won't admit it, but by default, it's easier to stay stuck because breaking that cycle is going to require some work. It's going to require you to stop complaining and pointing a finger at the other person and begin to ask yourself, what in me is attracting this other person's brokenness? And what lesson does this cycle continue to appear in my life? What lesson am I supposed to be learning from this? And for me, it boils down to two options. The first option, the default option, is pride. Many of us turn to pride for protecting ourselves, for tapping into that Bruce Banner style Incredible Hulk anger to protect ourselves and to ward against anybody who's threatening us. And tapping into that angry place, that source that the hyena drinks and eats from, that's pride. And where you have pride, you are always going to have conflict. You're always going to have strife. That's a law. Wherever you have pride, by default, you will automatically have conflict and strife. That is law. The other option that you have when you are in a cycle, you recognize you're in a cycle, you're hurting from this cycle, is humility. Now, a lot of people got humility twisted up real wrong. Humility does not mean that you accept someone else's foolishness. They win, you lose. Like, no. That's not how humility works. See, we often have the wrong understanding. And that's why we don't turn to humility, because humility is understood to be weak. But let me tell you something. A lot of people who are going after healing, who are breaking cycles of neglect and abuse, they have gotten to the point where they are willing to admit that they're hurting. And that's one step of breaking pride and tapping into humility. And there are additional levels of humility, like forgiveness, like release, like praying for the other person's healing. There's also the humility of letting go of a relationship that's hurting you, But you're holding on to it because you're worried about what everybody else is going to say. You're worried about how everybody else is going to think and judge you for taking your hands off of a situation that you cannot control. And humility is kind of like, it's the key that opens the door to your liberty. When you no longer care about what nobody else got to say, like, you're not the one crying puddles into my closet carpet every night about the thing I'm ashamed that everybody else will find out about. Honey, I can't care about what you think, what you're going to say, what people got to say about me when I'm not around. See, my humility requires me to live openly to the point where I know you're going to have my name in your mouth, but I don't care because I'm in a freedom fight. I'm finding my way to the Underground Railroad where only few are willing to pay the price of what you think is public shame and embarrassment. Honey, no. It's the breaking away of my pride so that I can finally heal. So, quick summary of this law. Wherever pride is, will be conflict. And you have two responses to your cycle that has brought you pain. The first choice is pride. The second is humility. And humility unlocks the door to your healing.